I am a content creator on TikTok and YouTube.
I'm Varun Gupta. I am a manager for programming strategy at Prime Video, but in my free time I do a lot of manga and anime podcasting. I am a writer and editor for MangaMavericks.com, and then I also host and produce a ton of podcasts. The Demon Slayer podcast being the biggest one, where we talk about Demon Slayer, and then Saturday Night Shaggy, where we talk about Shogakukan manga.
Hello, darlings. My name is Sid. I go on by LumRanmaYasha, and I'm also a podcast and writer for Manga Mavericks, as well as the host of the Lum Squad podcast, dedicated to Rumiko Takashi's classic rom-com sci-fi manga, Here's the Opera. Shout out to the Lum cosplay in the front row.
We love the Lum.
I'm Jillian Brutus, a New York City school librarian. I serve students grades 6 through 12. I'm also the founder of MangaAndLibraries.com and the author of Manga and Libraries, a guide for teen librarians.
And I'm Deb Aoki. I am one quarter of the Manga Slinging podcast, and I guess, I don't know, your gal who reads way too much manga, and apparently has lots to share. Yeah, get ready, strap in, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Yeah. All right, if this is your first time at the Best Stories Manga panel, we have rules. Every panelist was asked to pick one favorite manga for each category. For the best new manga, the first volume needed to be published between July 1st, 2022 and July 1st, 2023. For best continuing series, at least one new volume needed to be published between the same time period. Panelists were allowed to abstain from a category and let another panelist get a bonus pick. Panelists have 60 seconds to describe the manga and why they picked it. In the 60 seconds, the Time Master will remind us, wrap it up. Anyway, let's dive right into it. Best new manga for kids and teens. Jillian.
Mira is a young girl with an illness that causes her to turn all matter other than herself into night. Mira's parents sent her to a magical doctor named Ray. He teaches her how to control her powers and how to not give in to the night, which usually occurs when she becomes anxious or scared. She also meets an acquaintance of the doctor named Kartos. He tells her that if she never understands or confronts her fears, she will never get better, and she wants to try her best. We also learn that Mira is a star child born from the night stars, and she calls the night to remember the light. One of my favorite scenes is when they collect stars that have fallen from the night sky, and Mira learns about lost stars and how to make star gem. This artwork in the manga series is absolutely beautiful, sparkly, witchy, and a little dark. And we are all lucky because Volume 2 was released this week.
This one's my pick. Akane Banashi. This is my go-to read every week in Shonen Jump. About a girl who, her father was a Rococo storyteller, which is like a traditional Japanese, like kind of a mix between being a comedian, like just one guy on stage telling a story with different voices. He gets kicked out of his school, unceremoniously, so she decides to go to Rococo to kind of avenge him. It's a really, really well-drawn story, and you kind of get immersed in the world of Rococo, even if you're brand new to it. The drama is really compelling, and the drawing is really amazing. I do recommend you pick it up. Right, next one. Bridget, we'll have to skip. Sorry. Laura.
All right, so this is for fans of Orem High School Post Club. This has kind of similar elements. So you follow a basketball young girl who plays basketball. She graduates from high school, and her dream is to go to Tokyo to study in university. While she has these big dreams that she's going to live this fancy city girl life, she quickly finds out that Tokyo is very expensive. So she's just struggling to live her day-to-day life. Her dreams of becoming this fashionable girl just don't happen. She has to be this struggling student with a part-time job as a waitress, so she just lives life as a kind of a slob. And as you can see from the cover, you have your typical shoujo kind of love triangle type of thing. You have the handsome guy and a very fashionable girl right there. But there's a lot more than meets the eye. Oh. And I'm a TikToker. I can't even get it down to a minute. Read it. It's a good shoujo with slightly older characters.
All right.
Okay. Guyabama Holiday is a collection of short stories by Panya, and the main one is about the protagonist trying to go find Guyabama fruit in the Philippines. But honestly, this manga is less about the story and more about just the vibe and the feel of the stories themselves. Papanya has this really great kind of like surreal visuals in their work, and it's honestly just one of those comics that you just want to lay down, just read and relax. I highly recommend both this and the previous ever release, An Invitation from the Grab. They're both amazing. Go read it.
Let's catch up with Bridget.
My apologies for my tardiness. My Sister and the Cat. It's a great manga. It's really wholesome and it's really cute. It's about a guy, his parents are killed in a car accident, and because this is Japan, nobody wants to take him in. Except a friend of his mother's. I mean, she happens to be a cat, and her whole family's cats, but they're chill with that. They accept him despite the fact that he's different, and his little sister just adores him. And this is not a creepy little sister book, it is a funny, all-ages, very sweet book. This kid this teenager comes home from high school, and his little sister just goes nuts, and she wants to draw pictures with him and play with him. And I have a dog, so I get it. The art is cute, it's very readable. It's the kind of thing that whether you're a little kid or an adult, it's just gonna lift your spirits and make you happy.
Ooh, nice, dead on. Right, Sid.
Uzutoki Rhetoric is a mystery detective manga set in the early Showa era about Kaneko, a teen girl who has the power to hear lies. Literally, they sound different to her, as if a person's voice only becomes harder, blurry, metallic. A cold ball is zero turned into words. And because of that, Kaneko has been socially ostracized and also has been a little mistrustful of people, because while she has the ability to identify some statements as true or false, she hasn't really developed the emotional awareness to interpret their intentions. She's thus complemented and contrasted by Why, a detective whose business it is to understand how people think and the whys of hows of mystery. And so taken under a wise wing as a fellow detective, Kaneko starts to better understand the nuances of people's feelings, and the black and white antagonist relationship he has with lies is also transformed into more of inquisitive interest in the way people think. And I really love this series and its exploration and the nuances of people's feelings and the lies we may tell each other.
All right, we're on to the next category. Best new manga for grown-ups. We're starting off with Varun.
Yeah, so Homunculus is about a middle-aged man named Nakoshi who gets paid by a medical student to get a hole drilled into his skull. And that allows him to see the manifestation of the souls of those around him, which is referred to as a homunculi. And Hideo Yamamoto is known for a lot of really kind of out there weird stories. Some people might be familiar with Ichi the Killer. But this one is amazing at kind of looking at the kind of human psychology and the insecurities that kind of people have with themselves. And kind of part of the aspect of the story is Nakoshi also seeing a reflection of his own insecurities in other people. So the art is also just amazing and really lets kind of the story breathe and kind of tell a lot of through the visuals themselves. And yeah, it's just a really kind of interesting take on psychological horror.
Okay, next one is Lara's pick.
So this is the perfect example of don't judge a book by its cover. Because what you see on the cover is a very cute Japanese idol, but the story inside is definitely not that. So we follow an up-and-coming idol, Ai Toshino, as kickstarts her career. This does deal with the grim realities of what it's like to be an idol. And she has to live this double life where she is pretty much nothing like what she portrays to be up on stage. So this series dives into how toxic fandom culture can be and how parasocial relationships can really skew the perception of reality to the point where fans think that their favorite idol owes them pretty much everything from their time to their affection. Oh, read it. It also has an anime as well, which is so good.
All right, this one's my pick, The Summer Before We Died. This is another one where you can't quite tell what's happening from the cover. If if you are a big fan of Junji Ito and horror manga, you should pick this book. From chapter 1, it grips you and it doesn't let go. About two middle school boys, they're good best friends, hanging out, and says, oh, you know, one of them went missing in the woods. Oh, you missed me, huh? You must have been really sad when I was gone. And then the other friend goes, Yoshiki goes, you aren't the real Hikaru, are you? And then all of a sudden Hikaru's face melts, and he speaks in a different voice and says, how did you tell? How could you tell? I'm supposed to be the perfect copy. So it's kind of interesting. It's very suspenseful, it's kind of creepy, and it has a lot of interesting secrets to unfold. I think you'll really like it. Next one. Bridget's pick. Talk to my back.
Okay. So, no offense to many of the people here, but I feel one of the most lucrative markets for graphic novels, untapped markets, is women like me, women of a certain age, as the French would say. This is a book, it could be, if you sold it flipped, nobody would know it was manga. It's drawn in a very kind of like naturalistic style, and it's a series of short stories about a woman dealing with her children, dealing with what having children has done to her and how it has changed her life, wondering if her life is going to have any meaning, and at the same time feeling that just unbelievable love that you have for your children, that you know, like it's almost painful how much you love your children and yet they're messing up your life. So, you know, life is messy and it's full of contradictions, and that's how this book is. It's messy, and her husband is a jerk, so I actually have a suggestion for the men in the room. Like, give a copy to your girlfriend, because you will look so much better by comparison.
Sid's pick. Next one.
Mermaid Town. This is a surreal stream of consciousness collection of short stories based on author Tomohiro Sagawa's like dreams. And while all the stories in the book are separate from each other, Sagawa, through the book, maps out the locations of each of these stories as like a makeshift town that he kind of draws a map up towards the end of the book, and that's where the title derives from. But yeah, all the stories in this book are very different, very absurd. They go in bizarre directions, sometimes go non sequiturs. There are like horror stories and comedic stories, but it's such an interesting like collection of like just kind of visualizing your dreams on the page, and it like feels like you're in a dream while reading it, and I really love that about it.
Jillian's pick, Soulless in the Cage.
Okay. This dystopian thriller takes place in a desolate, dangerous, lawless, walled prison city full of criminals. Flashback years ago. With parents out of the picture, Chloe was the sole guardian of her baby brother Locke. Since leaving home was dangerous, her neighbor Ross would leave food on their doorstep. One night, Ross and his band of criminals decided to escape, and Chloe followed them. But unfortunately, during their escape, Locke is left behind. Flash forward years later. Chloe returns to the prison city prepared to find and rescue her brother Locke. During her years away, Chloe is trained by Ross in what seems to be the art of war. During her rescue mission, she meets a series of dangerous characters that get in her way. Physically prepared, the amount of blood Chloe sheds to get her brother is intense. She struggles with this a bit, but the story is about holding on to hope, and she will do whatever it takes to rescue her brother. I find the story and the artwork absolutely compelling, and Chloe is a badass. I look forward to Volume 2 being released in September.
All right, we're moving on to Best Continuing Series, Manga for Kids and Teens. Sasaki Mio by Love.
This is one of my favorite BL series. It's honestly one of the cutest reads. Both teens can get a lot of it because you do see two boys coming to terms with their sexuality and their feelings for one another. And for adults like me who just want to feel those warm, fuzzy feelings, this will give you exactly that. It has very much influence of like classic high school shoujo romances, but with a BL twist, and it has such a lovely cast of characters. All the classmates are really lovable, and the anime is equally as cute. The movie comes out in August, actually, so very, very soon on Crunchyroll.
This one's my pick, My Happy Marriage. Now this one's an interesting one. The anime's running right now on Netflix. And when I first looked at this book, I thought, that sounds like a really boring title. that looks like a pretty little historical romance. It is so much more than that. It's kind of like a take on a Cinderella story where a young girl lives with her stepmother and stepsister, father. She gets treated like a servant. She really feels down on herself. Then she gets sent to marry the guy that basically turns on all the girls. He turns out to be very hot. But here's the twist. There's supernatural powers involved in all this. And apparently she has some hidden powers that has never manifested before. And he is in charge of the secret governmental agency that fights demons. So there's a lot more to this series than you think, and you'll find it's spectacular. It's like a telenovela, but so much prettier. Bridget's pick.
Okay. You know, sometimes I just like to play against type, and I know I just recommended a very cerebral manga, but some things you just read for fun, right? And you can watch, it delivers the goods. I mean, that's the best thing, it's good. So one of the things that librarians ask me about a lot is they want some all ages manga. I mean, Yokai Watch has shockingly a similar vibe to Pokemon, right? Except that instead of fighting, the monsters help people. But you know, the thing is, there's like a nice, like this and Splatoon are two manga series that I feel are much better than they really ought to be. It's just a lot of fun. You can hand a kid any volume of it, and they'll be back asking for more.
All right, next one is Pete Varun's pick.
Pablo the Cinephile is probably one of the biggest love letters to film and cinema I've ever read. So Volume 3 came out this year, and it focuses a lot on Gene Finney directing two films and seeing how the films influence each other over time, while the titular character Pompo goes to school for once and actually starts to get a new perspective on production. And someone that now kind of works closely to entertainment, it's kind of just really cool kind of seeing a comic that really is showing the passion for entertainment. And one cool thing that Sukatani also does is that he has these cool bios for every new character, where like they show their favorite films and what's kind of the main theme of them and why they like them. And it's if you like film at all, I just say go read this. It's really good.
Jillian, Shadow House.
Was that a good? In a mysterious and secretive mansion live aristocrats without faces known as the Shadow Family. Because they have no visible features, they have living dolls that act as their faces and portray their expressions. Mistress Kate is a member of the Shadow Family, and when expressing negative emotions, she exudes soot. That's breathing indirectly. Her living doll, Emilico, is not only responsible for being her face, but her servant too. Behind locked doors and beholden to a lot of rules, the girls spend a lot of time together, as well as preparing for their debut. Rumor has it that they discard defective dolls. Afraid to lose her place with the Shadow Family, she tries her best to learn their ways. There is a lot that is left unexplained about this world. It feels wholesome, yet a bit sinister, and that's why it captures my attention. And Volume 4 came out this week.
Next one.
Yes, Hikaru in the Light is about a young girl named Hikaru who's famous in her time for singing in the bathhouse her family owns, and she expects to inherit one day. And she doesn't think much of her own talent until her best friend, aspiring idol Ron, quits the idol group that she's in and asks Hikaru to join her to audition for a nationwide talent competition to select the best young idols to form an all-star idol group, and tells her that she's always admired Hikaru's singing and movies and her talent. And when Hikaru auditions for the first round of the competition, sees how much the judges and everyone around her enjoys her singing and passes the first round, she starts to believe that maybe she really is special and starts to want to aspire to be in the spotlight. And Hikaru really explores that idea of wanting to be special, finding out what is special about you, wanting to be more, judging yourself and comparing yourself to others. And it's a really inspiring read of just people working hard to kind of just achieve that dream of theirs. And if you want a more uplifting idol manga, Hikaru in the Light is a good contrast to come.
All right, we're moving on to the best continuing series of manga for grown-ups. Varun.
So I feel like Zom has already gotten a lot of love thanks to the amazing anime that came out, but I can't emphasize enough how how awesome the manga is. Like, I don't know if people are caught up, but there's insane things that happen. Zombie bears, robots, dinosaurs, an entire super monster fight that's inspired by Splatoon and Resident Evil. It's got everything. And beyond just all those awesome elements, there's just so much of a deeper message about living your life to the fullest, not holding back, and really just kind of doing what you want to do. And I just love that message in the story, and it's just this great balance of kind of just deeper meaning and just having fun. It's just great.
Also, downstairs there's a really cool shark.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Take pictures on the shirt.
Okay, my pick is Kowloon Generic Romance. This is one that I picked for Manga Schooling. It's set in Kowloon Walled City, which is kind of was like this famous unincorporated city just outside of Hong Kong, where it's just famous for lawlessness. But people live there, and it just kind of there was like no building codes, because the apartments all kind of newly built. It's really interesting because it looks like it starts off like a slice story about this girl, this woman, who works in a realty office, and her coworker who kind of teases her a lot. And then as the story goes on, you realize that this is not the Kowloon Walled City that was demolished in the late 80s and early 90s, because there's a spaceship floating in the air. And we later find out that this woman is not who we think she is, and not who anyone thinks she is. So it's really beautifully drawn. It's a little retro looking. It's got a lot of great twists, and it's kind of sexy too. Right, Jillian?
The boxer, which is here for a free giveaway.
Yes, I had an extra number 2. I didn't give it away because I didn't want it. I bought too many.
The boxer debuted as a webcomic, but is now in print, with a minimalistic art style and mostly black and white color palette. The Boxer is a dark sports monologue. It's about the struggles of being a boxer as well as the struggles of being human. The main character, Yu, seems super apathetic and super unresponsive to the world around him, even while getting beat up by the school bullies. Coach K, who trains professional competitive boxers, sees Yu in this situation, and his instincts kick in, and he is drawn to Yu and wants to train him. He senses power. Yu decides to take up Coach K's offer to train as a boxer, and Yu moves through training. He battles a series of opponents. We learn about these opponents and the struggles that they face. We learn what drives them and what motivates them to box. And if you don't have much prior knowledge about boxing before reading the manga, there is a glossary in the back of the book that teaches you some terms, and volume 3 came out this week.
Next one is Laura's pick.
One of my all-time favorite series. So the series and its lead character, Uramichi, just speak to my millennial soul that has become dead because of overworking. So the series follows a group of adults in their late 20s and early 30s that are once had big dreams and now are stuck just working at a children's TV show. And the series truly has it all. It has self-deprecating humor, brutally honest children, a cast of lovable idiots, mascots, and some very dark nursery rhymes as well. But beyond the goofy comedy, you do get a very honest portrayal of adulthood and how you just, despite your dreams not being, they maybe didn't come to fruition, like you just have to find joy in other things in life. And the cast is absolutely amazing. If you haven't watched the anime, please do so because you can hear Captain Levi, Uramichi's voiced by Captain Levi. So.
Bridget. Cat gamer. An animal can really disrupt your life. A quick anecdote. I was trying to get my dog to do something one time, and my daughter said to me, "I can't believe you're negotiating with a dog." And I said, "I can't believe I'm negotiating with a dog and I'm losing." I mean, this is kind of, Cat Gamer is about a woman who's just like, she just works all the time, that's all she does. Well, no, she goes home and she plays games. Nobody in the office really knows what she does, but she goes home and she's a serious video gamer. And then, in the way these things happen, she ends up with a cat. And the cat disrupts her life. And, mostly for the better. One of the cute things about this manga is that, after each chapter, you get to see things from the cat's point of view. And, of course, it's just very instructive because animals don't see things the way we do. Just ask my dog, he'll tell you. So anyway, it's a fun, feel-good manga. I guess I'm all about feel-good these days. And it's got cats. What's not to like?
Yeah. How to Be Relationships is about two friends in college, Miu and Sai, kind of just falling into a relationship after kind of discovering both of them are lesbians, and then just like them kind of going from there, navigating both the joys and messy feelings that come with being in a new relationship. But where most romance manga are about like a couple getting together and staying together, How to Be Relationship starts with its leads in one relationship and then navigates and explores how the relationship changes over time, and explores like how like different boundaries get set up, like different communication and trust issues, and explores like messy feelings but also like wholesome feelings. And yeah, it's a series that I really got into recently, and just I really relate to a lot of different experiences of romantic relationships in the manga. It covers like a lot of different perspectives, and it's a really engaging read.
All right, and now we're on to my favorite manga. And believe it or not, it is hard to find truly wretched manga. I searched deep and far for this. Here we go. Varun.
Kamen Rider Kuga. This was a manga I really was excited about, and honestly, the story and the artwork itself is actually fine. The real issue with this is the localization of the Titan manga release. So the translation is just very stiff at times, almost to the point that it feels machine-PL. The lettering uses animes and Kamika Axis, which is not a good combination, also just looks super ugly. And to make matters even more confusing, the previews use a completely different localization that is based off the Argentinian release. And yeah, it just makes no sense. And while Titan has issued a statement saying that they are working on a revised version, it's really just unacceptable that it was released in this state. Kamen Rider fans deserve better, manga fans deserve better. And yeah, I was just really unhappy with this.
Onward. Jillian, sweet poolside.
Okay. Dear Adoption, sorry. Okay. For the past few years, Oshimi's work, Blood on the Tracks. Has anybody read Blood on the Tracks? Okay. It's been on my best manga list for years. I'm obsessed with that series. So then, like, clearly, why wouldn't I also love Sweet Poolside? I clearly love being psychosexually tortured by this mangaka. So basically, it's a middle school student. He gets teased for not having any body hair, and then there's a girl, she's a middle school student, and she has like what she thinks is too much body hair. But they both meet at the swim club, and she's like tries to shave her arms and her legs, but she's always like hurting herself and cutting herself. So like clearly she wants to be as smooth as the boys. So she's like, hey, can you do me a favor and shave me? So they meet like before swim club all the time, and he shaves her. So he shaves her arms, her underarms, her legs, and then she's like, well, there's one more really important area. This is crazy. Like, he's like, why is this happening to me? Panic, fear, sweat. Okay, sweat.
It really is a manga about everything. Here's my pick. Yonizawa-san is done being human. Now, ISIS. Yonizawa-san, he works at a pet accessory. He's so stressed out. Work is so hard. So you know how he relaxes? He goes home and dresses up like a puppy. It's so relaxing. Just think he's being a dog. But he has a girlfriend. And one day the girlfriend comes home a little too early. And breaks up the day. Duh. Then what happens, he gets a little lonely, so he calls a call girl service. And the call girl service is someone who's going to treat him like a dog. Guess who it is? It's his busty, shy coworker. And why is she doing that? Because her abusive boyfriend is making her do it. There's all kinds of yuck in this. So much yuck. It's on Manga Mavericks, and on the bright side, if you have a Manga Mavericks subscription, you didn't have to pay anything extra to read this for avoidance. Laura.
I feel so bad. It looks $16 illustration book. Like, these are all the pages. They're very cute. The baby is adorable. But for the money that I paid for, I wanted an actual plot. I wanted to learn about each of the family members. And I didn't just want cute illustrations. Because for like $3 or $4 more, I can just buy a Korean manhwa that is also in full color. It's over 250 pages and actually has amazing storytelling. So yeah, I just kind of felt it was adorable when she did it, yeah. Especially since it's volume 2 just came out too, so I'm like, where is this gonna go? Like, it's not a picture book, that's it. So yeah.
Alright. Sid.
So, my stepsister was telling me to die every day, try to hypnotize me so I would call her from that title. I aim for. However, like, well, usually for Worst Manga, we recommend stuff we don't recommend you read. I actually do recommend you read this because it is absolutely absurd. It's about a high school kid who is like a light novelist. He writes this light novel was about being in love with your stepsister. His own stepsister, like, usually treats him like garbage every day, literally tells him to kill himself and, like, to not associate with her. But secretly, she is in love with him. She reads his light novels and considers them her Bible. She doesn't know that he writes them. So one day she tries to hypnotize him into, like, loving her and controlling him and make him do things. And if he doesn't pretend to be hypnotized, she threatens to kill him with a drill. And that's just a smidge of the craziness of manga.
These gems and more on Manga.
They're good manga. Read Loving Yamada. It's great. I love manga.
Speaking of, the most anticipated new manga coming this fall, winter. Laura.
Yeah, sorry, but yeah, we just had an anime this past spring season. So this Feel the Void, What the Koi Love is Hard for Otaku left behind when that series ended. It follows a young college student as we meet her when she basically gets stumped by her boyfriend who is obsessed with an MMORPG game. And he fell in love with another girl in that same game. So what does Akane, the girl, do? She decides to play that game, try to find her ex-boyfriend, but she later meets this very cold and expressionless character that happens to be our male lead, Akito Yamada, who's equally as cold and expressionless in real life as well. So this story is a romance, slice of life story following older characters. You get to see their friendships, and you get to see the bubbly Akane kind of work her magic. If you like Book Boy, you're gonna love this series, basically.
Okay, this one's my pick. Now, if you love Nana, and if you've read Paradise Kiss, you will love this one. This is one that people have been asking for years. It's basically a prequel to Paradise Kiss. It's about sister, potentially the older sister in Paradise Kiss as a teenager, and she's studying to be a fashion designer. It's so cute and so adorable, and if you've read Paradise Kiss, like, you'll see a lot of characters and a lot of the humor and the fashionableness that will just remind you of all the things you love. Nana, the other series that Ayasa did has been on hiatus for a long time because Rizal Sensei is having some health issues. So this is kind of the next best thing to get more of her work out there, and please support this. Moon.
Yeah, so Kingdom of Gold, Kingdom of Water is the story of a man and woman from two different conflicting kingdoms as they try to maintain a romance and keep their kingdoms at peace. I was really excited when this got licensed by 7 Seas because I got to see the anime adaptation of it at Animation's Film last year, and then I went right away and bought the manga in Japanese and then even did a podcast on it. And it's just such a great series. There's a lot of political intrigue, the art is beautiful, and the author, Naomi Omoto, she takes a lot of influence from European artists like the French artist Mobius, as well as Naoki Urasawa, especially like his older series like Happy. And yeah, I'm just really happy to see her work finally brought over into English, and hopefully it leads to more of her work being brought over, because she's such a talented artist, and her work deserves way more love.
Sit down. Okay.
If you remember last year's Best and Worst, I recommended my summer review from Manga Story. I really like how he explores relationships in his series, and so I'm very excited for his next 2 books that are going to be published within the next year. My Ultramarine Sky is about 2 high schoolers, Kai and Ren, who are sitting next to each other for the first 2 years of high school, but in the 3rd year they're in separate classes, and they start feeling like they're slipping away from each other as friends, and that starts to kind of awaken like feelings that are even deeper. And then Number Call is about like a high schooler who is named Eito Tachibana, and of course he's always hated like the 8 like puns of his names. And then he has he meets a classmate named Tomoya Hada, who's named Kachi, which is the Japanese word for it. So it's kind of like a BL Nana in that way. But yeah, I really love this author, so I'm really excited for these stories.
All right, Jillian's pick.
The Illustrated Guide to Monster Girls. I don't really know much about this series other than one, the cover rules. It reminds me of those mix and match fashion plates from my childhood, but with the cool and spooky fashionable goth monster girls, and weapons, bloods, bats, and eyeballs. And 2, the blurb is fun, which I'll just read from the website. In the world of monsters, where scaring and tormenting humans is a way of life, even monster girls need to pass their classes, graduate, and get a job. Enter Class C, a bunch of failures more likely to be frightened and bully themselves. Can this ragtag group of underdogs become successful, full-fledged monsters? It's also rated older teens, so maybe there's some blood and gore, but not in like an offensive, horrific way, but like in a fun, spooky monster girl sort of way. And this comes out in August 22nd.
I did book a bonus pick because I can, because I think Bridget abstained. I'm so excited when Dark Horse announced this one. In its life by Shinichi Sakamoto. His artwork is just exquisite, just beautiful work. This is a historical drama based on kind of the world that you read about in Rosenberg's Eye. It's about a young man and his sister, and they are the latest generation in a family of executioners. They are the royal executioners, and they have killed many, many people over the years. But as the French Revolution is looming, and they're going to get very busy very soon. Beautifully drawn book, and he has another book coming out this fall, which is a retelling of Dracula. So that's coming from Viz. Please pick up his work; it is gorgeous.
Yeah, Dad also threw me a curveball, leaving me a bonus pick, so now I have to take a swing and pitch you a short game. But yes, I mean, Mr. Adachi, if you don't know, he is one of the most prolific artists of baseball manga in Japan. Like, he's written like some legendary series, Touch, H2, Mix, and sadly, he's very underpublished here in North America. We have Cross Game, and that's really the only major series of his imprint here. So I was very excited when Dempa likes in Short Game, anthology of baseball one-shots. And so I'm really excited to have more of his work available in English, and I'm hoping that if it does well, and with sports manga more popular these days, we can get more of his classic titles and his concurrent series Mix license as well.
Next one, the Most Wanted manga. These are manga that are not yet picked up by a publisher to publish in English. That's one we hope soon will be picked up. We have a pretty good record on this, by the way. Some of the ones that we've picked in the past have been picked up, so let's see what that does. This one's my pick. I'm gonna scream this to the ends of the earth. Hajime no Ippo, the best boxing manga in the world. 138 volumes. Yes! So worth it. It's really fun. It's basically about a young boy who is kind of bullied in school. He discovers, but he helps. He's a sweet kid. He helps out his mom, who is a single mom working on a fishing boat, which, interesting enough, makes him strangely strong. So when he meets a pro boxer who takes him under his wing, he gets into the world of professional boxing. He's very good-hearted. He has all kinds of opponents, and the artwork is simply dynamic. I went to see an art show with this artwork, and it's just mind-boggling. This is one of those things that we asked for years, and every time we ask for production, they shake their head and go, I spent like 38 volumes. Learn to be Japanese now. Varun.
Yeah, so when people think of Kurosawa manga that aren't licensed, I feel most people go to Billy Bat. And don't get me wrong, I love Billy Bat. Kodansha Priest licensed Billy Bat. I'll do anything for it. But I think the real series people need in English is Yawara. Yawara is one of Kurosawa's older series about a fashionable young girl named Yawara and her reluctant rise in the competitive judo world to compete in the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. It starts out kind of more of a comedy, but then it becomes a serious sports series over time. And it's just such a great manga. It has some of Kurosawa's best characters, including Fujiko Ito, who is my favorite Kurosawa character ever. And it's just such a fun read. And I think more people just have to experience it. Also, the covers for the Perfect Editions are actually a collaboration with Forever 21. So Yawara literally is a fashionable jeweler.
All right, next one.
Yeah.
Please pick.
Fire by Hideko Mizuno. Hideko Mizuno is like an incredibly influential manga artist. Like she was peers of like Osamu Tezuka and Fujiko Fujio, Shikari Mishori. And Fire is said to be like a really historically important manga. It's about it's set in 1960s America. It's like about like a young musician, like he's mistaken for critical, sent to a juvenile prison, but then he meets a guy named Firewolf, and it's like captivated with the music he hears. And after Firewolf's death, he leaves prison, takes Firewolf's guitar, and forms the band Fire with his friends. And Fire becomes a really popular band. And the manga is really inspired by the like anti-war and Vietnam movement, civil rights struggles in North America. Aaron's character is based on Scott Walker, who is the leader of the Walker Brothers. So it's really historically interesting, and it was recently like republished in Japan after a long time. So I'm hoping that will give cause for a license here.
This one. Oh, sorry. This is
I got another bonus. This is a manga I discovered recently, Mikazuki Matenchu's Gender. It's about a girl who gets like dumped by like her first boyfriend, and she overhears, finds out it's because he only asked her out because she had a big chest, and he thought because of that she would be easy to get with. And she just is so frustrated and just disgusted with how she's been treated by most men in her life besides her father. And then like when thinking about that, and just how she just like hates men and like hates this experience, like she wakes up to find that she has turned into a guy, and then she finds out from her father that their family, like they changed genders just like at some point in their lives. Like her father was actually the parent that gave birth to her. And so, yeah, she takes like becoming a guy in stride, and like, he decides to like attend at a school as a guy and like live in a boys' dorm. But it is more complicated than that. I just enjoy the exploration of gender fluidity from manga.
This is my second pick, and this one's kind of a hard one to explain because I've actually not read it yet, but it's won a ton of awards in Japan. It's basically set in the 13th century. A young girl from Iran is captured by the Mongol Empire, and she has all this knowledge of Persian science and medicine, and she kind of becomes part of the court in the Mongol Empire. It kind of turns things upside down. As you can see, the art is quite original and fresh. I'm not even sure what the story's about, but I'm so curious. I would be shocked if it doesn't get licensed in the next year. Underrated but awesome. Bridget.
Okay, So a lot of manga that are called all ages manga actually, as you probably know, run in seinen magazines in Japan. So stories like Cheese Sweet Home and Yotsuba are actually written for adults. Polar Bear Cafe also falls into that genre of slice of life manga where a cute animal runs an eatery of some kind. And
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? There has been a fire emergency reported in the building. Please evacuate the building by the nearest exit. Do not use the elevators.
You know, what is serendipitous if this happened during the fire? Yeah, fire.